Welcome. This video is over how to multiply fraction using grids. So let's look at our number routine. David bought 6 apples that each weighs 1/4 pounds. How many pounds of apple did he buy? Show me different ways to represent this problem. So there are many ways you could do this. I'm going to draw pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He bought 6 apples. Each one weigh 1/4 pound. 1/4 pound. In 5th grade, didn't you learn how to add fractions? So 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 makes 1 whole pound. 1/4 plus 1/4, so it's 1 and 2/4, or 1.5 pounds. Or 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 is 6/4, which is the same thing as saying 3/2, which is 1.5. Isn't repeated addition the same thing as multiplication? So another way is do 6 groups of 1/4, or 6 times 1/4. Another way to do it is, do you know what is a 1/4 of a pound? As a decimal, a quarter of a pound? Quarter. So 6 times 25 hundredths. And you did learn how to multiply a whole number and a decimal last year in 5th grade. So 6 times 25 hundredths. If you multiply 25 times 6, 30, carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15. And then it's 2 places, 1, 2. It's 1 and 50 hundredths, or 1.5 pounds, which is 1.5 as a fraction. 1 and 2/4, 6/4, 3/2. Many ways to do this. So, cookies. We all love cookies, including Cookie Monster. So, imagine you had half of a cookie, blah, blah. You ate half of this. So, if I ate half, let's see. Oh, yeah, I ate half of this. What fraction of a whole cookie did I eat? I ate then 1/4. Half of a cookie is 1/4. You ate 1/3 of a cookie. Where's 1/3? So I ate 1/3 of a cookie right here. Let's move all this away so we have more space. You ate, oh, wait, you ate 1/3 of half of a cookie. Whoops. So here's half of a cookie. So I only ate 1/3 of this. So I need to split this into 3 equal parts. Let's see if this, no. Is it this one? Yes, it is. So I ate 1/3 of half of a cookie. So I ate this one. What fraction of a whole cookie did I eat? So what fraction is this? Let's think. If this is 6, oh, it's 1/6. So 1/3 of half of a cookie is 1/6. Next one, you ate half of a 1/4 cookie. So let's find a 1/4 cookie. Well, here's fourths. So here's fourth. I ate half of this, half of that. No, that's not half of it. Yeah. So I ate half of that. What fraction of a whole cookie did I eat? These are the eighths. So I must have eaten eighth. I wonder if you can predict, how did I come up with these fractions? Half of half is 1/4. 1/3 of 1/2 is 1/6. 1/2 of 1/4 is 1/8. Where am I getting these from? Any predictions? Any predictions? Well, no. Well, look at this one then. You ate 1/4 of half of a cookie. So here's half of a cookie. So I ate 1/4 of it. So I need to split this into 4 equal parts. Let's see if this fits. Oh, it does. So I ate 1/4. So I ate this part right here, 1/4 of it. What fraction of a whole cookie did I eat? 1/8 of a whole cookie. Have you figured out by now where this came from yet? 1/8. So why is our answer always smaller than the original quantity? Because we started with half of a cookie, and then our answer is actually 1/8, which is smaller than the original quantity. Any suggestions to why? Well, let's see. 1/4. You're eating parts. This is not, 1/4 is not a whole cookie. You're not eating the whole thing. You're eating a fraction of it. That's why. If you're eating less than one whole of it, one part of it, then you're eating a fraction of it. That's why it's small. So I ate a fourth of it, so I'm eating a group of it, part of it. Like for example, here's 1/4 cookie. I ate half of it. I didn't eat the whole thing. A whole thing would be one whole. So I ate a fraction of it. That's the reason why. So I don't know if you discovered yet how to get 1/4 of 1/2 as 1/8. 1/2 of 1/4 is 1/8. If not, no worries. Maybe you have discovered it. If not, we're going to be figuring out how to do it through grids. Color the tiles to multiply the fractions. Write your answer in the line provided. Simplify the fraction if possible. So in this one, they would like you to shade in, my trusted highlighter, 1/4 of this thing. So I'm going to color, I need to split this into fourths. So let's see. There are 4 parts. 1 part, 2 part, 3. There are 4 rows. So I shade in one of the 4 rows, 1/4 of it. Now I need to shade in 3/4, going vertically. So these are 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4 column. I need to shade in 3 of the 4 column. What fraction of this grid overlap or shaded twice? What fraction overlap? From what I can tell, 1, 2, 3 out of 16. So 1/4 times 3/4 is 3/16. I wonder how I can get 3/16 from this. Any suggestions? No, not yet? All right, we'll keep on shading until you can figure out. Highlighter. Shade in 1/3, one of the 3 rows. So I shade in 1/3 or one of the 3 rows. Next one, 2/5. Shade in 2 of the 5 columns. Columns go up and down. So 1/5, 2/5. So what fraction of the 15ths are shaded twice? Or what have overlap? 2 out of 15. So we started with 2/5, but we shaded only 1/3 of it, a part of it. That's why the quantity is lesser than what we started with. So next one. Have you figured out the rule yet? No, not yet? Fine. We'll keep doing until you figure out the rule. So in the next one, let me shade in 3 of the 5 rows, 3/5 of it. 1/5, 2/5, 3 of the 5 rows, or 3/5. Now I'm going to shade the vertical columns, 1 of the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1/4 of it. What fraction overlap there? 1, 2, 3. 3 out of what? There are 20 squares in this grid, so 3/20. Have you figured out yet? Not yet? Fine. Next one. Shade in 4 of the 5 rows. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. Now shade in half of the columns. What fraction of this whole grid overlapped? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of what? 10. 4 out of 10. Can you simplify that, by the way? You could say 4/10 is 2/5. In case you forgot how to simplify since elementary school, you divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. 4/10 and 2/5 is the same. Yeah. Next one. Let's make a prediction now. Anybody can predict what fraction of this will overlap? Anybody have a prediction? What's half of 1/4? So if you have 1/4 of this shaded and half of it will be shaded again, anybody have a prediction? Some of you may say 1/8. Because I will have someone who say that. Let's prove as to why is 1/8. So I shaded one of the two rows, half of it. Then I shaded one of the four columns. And what fraction here overlap? 1/8. Hey, it does work. Anybody want to make a prediction in the next one? Because someone will make a correct prediction. What's 3/4 times 1/2, or 3/4 of a half? So if you have half this thing, you have half of a cookie, and then you ate 3/4 of it, what fraction did you eat? I make a prediction that it might be 3/8. So using my highlighter C, I shade in 3 of the 4 columns. Rows. 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows. 3 of the 4 rows. There's first row, second row, third row. Then I shade half of the columns. 1 of the 2 columns. So what overlap? 3 out of 8. It does work. So here are more examples here, but I want to see if anybody can make a prediction as to, I don't want to shade anymore. I think I can figure it out by now. I think this one is going to be 3/12. And this one will be 9/16. And this is going to be 1/20. Let's go back here and simplify this. I could divide both numbers by what? 3. So it's 1/4. How did I come up with this? Can you tell me? And this one, I think it's going to be 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. Because half of the rows are shaded in, half of the columns are shaded in, so it's 1 of the 4. And I predict this one is 10/18, which divide by 2, you can simplify it to 5/9. Without using a grid, explain how do you multiply fractions. Anybody can say, well, let's see, where's this 1 on the numerator coming from? So you just copy 1 here, but then it wouldn't work for this one. 10, where would 10? I think you multiply the two numerators. Is that what it is? 3 times 3 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3. Let's go back to our cookie example. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Oh, 1 times 3 is 3. So the way you do it is, number 1, you multiply across the numerators. So if you multiply the numerators across, what about the denominators? 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 4 is 12. Yep. Then you multiply across the denominators. And sometimes you can simplify. Not all the time, but sometimes you can simplify. So let's solve these now without using grids. So 2 times 2 is 4, the numerators. The denominators are 5 and 3. 5 times 3 is 15. The numerators are 3 and 2. 3 times 2 is 6. The denominators are 4 and 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Can I simplify this? What can I divide? Last year in elementary school, you learned something called greatest common factor. What can I divide 6 and 12? What can I divide both numbers by? By 3. But I'm going to try 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 6/12 is the same thing. Isn't 6 half of 12? That's why 6/12 is equivalent to 1/2. Because if I had a circle and I cut it into 12s, 6/12 is the same thing as saying 1/2. Next one, the numerators are 1 and 4. 1 times 4 is 4. The denominators are 2 and 9. So 2 times 9 is 18. I use a teacher like this way. So you draw arrows like that way. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 9 is 18. If that's easier, draw arrows. Multiply the numerators across. The numerators are 1 times 3 is 3. The denominators are 4 times 10 is 40. And that is how you multiply fractions. You multiply the numerators and you multiply the denominators across.